Good afternoon, everyone. How many of you are absolutely hating this weather? You can raise your hand if you want. I definitely hate this weather as well, but with this weather and this cold weather brings visitors, tons of different kinds of visitors around my cubicle. One in particular has become a really good friend of mine, Polly the mouse. Every now and then, Polly will run by my desk and then I bring him over and I'll be, Polly, come over and sit by my desk. So just today we had a conversation and we were talking about Valentine's Day and just, he always brings up Missy the mouse, his wife. And I was like, you know, Polly, I have never heard the story how you and Missy got together. And Polly was like, I can't believe I never told you. It happened the night of the cheesy eclipse. And I was like, whoa, the cheesy eclipse. He's like, let me tell you. So back in the day, Polly wanted to win Missy's heart. And the way to win Missy's heart was to give her the biggest, most greatest thing he could ever think of, the biggest amount of cheese. The moon. This moon was not any typical moon. This moon had provolone, mustard, it had sharp cheddar. You name it, it had every kind of cheese, layer by layer by layer on the moon. Polly's goal was he was going to get Missy that moon. Polly got all of his friends together. They battled up, they were trying to figure out what can they do, how can they get up to get to that moon. They built this huge ladder and they're ready to go. The night starts, they figured it's best at night. Well, Earth found out about this, and Earth was not happy. Earth was like, why would somebody think that they could just take the moon all to themselves? It's so selfish. It's not right. So the Earth decided to hide the moon slowly. And soon the light outside was going away, and Polly was like, oh no, what's happening? Missy, she was looking and she's like, oh my gosh, the moon, the cheese light, it's going away. What are we going to do? Polly goes up his ladder that he built with his friends. He's so close to the moon, and then it just vanishes. It's gone. The moon is gone. The cheesy moon is gone. The cheesy eclipse. Polly looks to his friends, and he looks down, and he sees Missy so upset. She's crying. The actual thing, the opposite of what he wanted to do. He's like, what am I going to do? He goes back down his ladder, and he thinks, and he's like, you know what? I have to go to Earth. He goes to Earth, and he says, I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me. Why was I being so selfish? And the Earth said, you know, love makes you do crazy things. And she's like, I promise I won't take the moon from you. Please put it back. The girl I love, she's just so upset about this. Everyone's upset. They need the light. The Earth's like, okay, I'll give it back piece by piece, cheese by cheese, layer by layer. By the end of the night, the moon was back. The cheese light was shining. Missy was absolutely astonished by what Polly did. He gave her the greatest gift ever. He got her the moon back, the light back. She was just so happy. From that moment, Missy just fell in love with Polly. And after that, well, it's history. They got married, had a ton of kids. I look over at Polly and I was like, wow, that is some story. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, speaking of Valentine's Day being this week, what are you and Missy doing this Friday? And he's like, Julie, I have Missy in my life. Every day is Valentine's Day. I was like, oh, well, that's just so sweet now, isn't it? So even though it's so cold and dreary outside, I always have a little welcoming visitor every now and then at my cubicle, always giving me a nice, fun story. Thank you.